And so when you do that, then you can start looking at the next person you bring in, that I would suggest it's not just a social media silo. I would highly recommend that it's a social media champion. Somebody who can be a voice there and can help educate the team, and that is passionate and excited about it. And somebody that you trust. You want to take a look at their portfolio. You want to take a look at their footprint in the electronic community. How many followers do they have in Facebook? How many followers do they have in Twitter? Are they already blogging? That to me speaks a lot of volume of experience. Are people commenting on their blogs? Do they have a community already? The challenge is you end up with a brand of a person. And do you want that brand of that person out there to be your face?
It's the belief of my company and a lot of others that I have talked to, and I don't know whether this is just in the tech space, that the concept of social media as a job description is very short-lived. So we have absolutely no plans to hire a social media expert. It's something that is broken up and divided amongst the rest of the marketing team. So I have responsibility for our social media marketing plans, but our PR team has responsibility for the Twitter, and our online marketing people do Facebook. And it's all within corporate marketing, so there's some integration there, but there's absolutely no way that they're going to hire a person to do this full time. So
bringing it back to our topic of face-to-face versus virtual, what we have here are two ways to go about it. The silo of the social media manager or leader that's very siloed, that's going to deal with your virtual audience, your customer, your virtual customer a lot, or breaking it up and having everybody take pieces of it and be part of that experience. So there's the two different ways to look at it.
One question: if you break it up, I've heard both ways of doing it, and breaking it up within your company, how do you control what they're saying and supporting your brand, rather than, I mean, they could go off and say everything wrong. How do you
control is history. Okay, Paul, do you want to talk some more to that?
No, this, I mean, it's
as the Oracle spokesperson.
Yeah, no, this is totally not as the Oracle spokesperson.
As the Oracle for Oracle.
No, I mean, you know, this is something that we've kind of joked about for a while now, but the concept of control is history, you know, and again, this comes back a little bit to what David Berkowitz was talking about earlier in terms of, you know, kind of the architecture, and I heard a talk by Jeremiah Ouyang recently that had sort of a similar kind of, you know, it's what you were talking about in terms of there are various different models, and some have, you know, some have advantages and some have disadvantages. And if you look at, you know, a very sort of fragmented model, which sounds a little bit like what you're dealing with and what Sun had before Oracle acquired them, and they will now have much more control put on them. But, you know, there's that model where basically everybody in the company is you know, touching the thing, and to some degree there is some advantage to that in terms of very open and very transparent. Then there's the extreme to that, which is you know, the very centralized model, which is kind of a Ford model, if you will, of, you know, it's all controlled by marketing. Marketing does everything, and nobody else in the company can do anything. And then there's that sort of the hybrid model, which I think kind of companies like Oracle are moving to, and HP and Cisco, which is kind of a hybrid between sort of this siloed approach and this very controlled approach, where, you know, what we're trying to do is not disincentivize people to participate. We want people to participate, but we're giving them some very specific guidelines about what they can and can't do, especially when they're representing the brand. And then we're trying to at least, you know, be aware of, if not consolidate, you know, all of the Twitter accounts that are out there and all of the Facebook fan pages and all of the various different blogs and whatnot, and not try and control them necessarily, but at least, you know, make them representative of the brand in some shape or form. and at least be aware of them so that we can monitor what's going on in all of those various different communities. So, again, to me, control is history. There's just way too many opportunities for your customers or your attendees or however you want to, categorize the people that are, talking about your company or your brand or whatever. There's just too many ways for them to get the word out there without you having control of it, that you should just let go of that whole idea of control and look for ways to not try to market to them, not try to sell to them. Really, for me, social media is about building relationships. What you want to do is continue building relationships with people.
Okay. Anybody else want to speak to this?
Yes. In far fewer words, I would say control is out the window because there's just too much to try to control. I did give a proposal to a potential client that I eventually decided to overcharge so he wouldn't take me, and if he did, he would be worth the trouble. Because his idea was if I'm online or if I have my people on LinkedIn, they're going to be stolen by some other company. And I thought, you know what, this is not going to work. You have to be there, you have to be present, you have to claim the real estate of your name, you have to be there to react if something happens quickly. I'll end with this example of Ramon de Leon. Who has heard of him here? Domino's Pizza, 7 franchises in Chicago. He got a standing ovation in London. Who does that? Who gets a standing ovation from the Brits? And somebody complained on Twitter, and he went on YouTube and he posted an apology. Okay, so talk about control. Do you know how many times that woman, she put it on her blog? And do you know how many times that video got viewed? And so, like I said, it's not about control. It's about being there when something is said, whether it's positive or negative.
What's the opposite of control? Anarchy, chaos? What else? What's the positive opposite of control?
Spontaneity, adaptability.
Empowerment, engagement. Paul said something that I think is important when you're talking about face-to-face and virtual that applies to meetings or whether you're dealing with your customers online or your attendees online. He talked about social media guidelines. You guys have a set of corporate social media guidelines. Policy, social media policy.
1 out of 5 companies have one.
Okay, 1 out of 5 companies is what she said here have one. And so I would highly encourage you to go out and take some looks at what some of the policies are that are online that you could adopt to help in this area to actually, and he said, help guide them and to empower them to do the right thing. I always say this, you trust them with the phone and you trust them with email. Why don't you trust them online in LinkedIn or Facebook? You're showing your lack of trust in them. But you're willing to let them talk to your customers on the phone. And sometimes the people you hire that do the talking on the phone shouldn't be on the phone.
Do you want to give them okay, online database of social media policies if anybody's interested?
You want to write this up? Let's write this up. Or do you want to go over there and write it up for us? Sure. We got it. I think here's a marker. Let's do it with this.
Oh, I'm sorry, http://socialmediagovernance.com.
Socialmediagovernance.com //
/policies.php. Social media governance. Who said Jesus? Can't remember. Social media governance.
Somebody get it down and tweet it so we get it captured.